the centuries they just kept adding more and more of them. So it has a very organic structure in terms of its buildings. Today there are 38 what we call colleges. Don't think of college in the normal sense, okay, because a university college just means one of the university buildings. So there are 38 of them. They were based on monasteries. The design is the same as that of a monastery, around a central courtyard with a gate and a porter's lodge, and then you had your accommodation, the living rooms around this central courtyard and the buildings that surrounded it. There was also a chapel for each college. There was a big communal dining room and small teaching rooms. Because the teaching here is not really done in huge lecture halls. Most of it is small, fairly personal tuition. You meet with your tutor a few times a week, you have small groups, and then a lot of the studying is done on your own initiative. So it's a slightly different way of managing students' study. Copies of monasteries, because there were many monasteries here in Oxford anyway. This was a settlement way back to Saxon times. The name, we think it comes from Oxen a Forda, which means there was a ford here and a crossing where oxen could get across, a bridge across the river basically for ox to pass through. So it's quite an ancient settlement. A lot of monasteries. Monasteries were, that's why they chose this place to start building the university. Monasteries were a little bit like the original teaching institutions. Monks were highly, highly educated. They could read, they could write. Normal people could not. Even kings and queens in the 12, 13, 1400s didn't know how to read or write. So the real academics were the religious people, monks. So all of these 38 monastery-like buildings, which we call colleges, each one of them is a mini university. Okay, it's not a faculty. It's not that one college, is only dedicated to languages, another to science, another to philosophy. It doesn't work like that. They're all mini universities, but they all belong to Oxford University. So if you study at Christ Church College or Jesus College or Magdalen or Balliol, you're studying at Oxford University, and that's where you get your degree from. It is a very competitive business trying to get a place to study here at Oxford. They say that only 1 in every 5 applicants receives a place. So only 1 in 5 are successful. And it's very much based on your academic results, of course. Up until the early 1800s, it was also based on your gender. Only rich men could study here, rich young men. No nasty girls. We were not allowed. We could start to study distance courses from the early 1800s, and in about 1974 they started building the first ladies' colleges, and today all colleges are co-ed, they're all mixed. It's a lot more democratic today, although a very interesting article in the newspaper recently was talking about how when William the Conqueror came over to England and conquered England, he introduced a real hierarchical system where French speakers were at the top of the pile. Okay, the kings, the aristocracy, the educated, the upper classes spoke French, and they probably had French surnames because they came over with the Norman conquest, like de Montfort, de Montville, Beaujolais, all of this sort of thing. And what they did was they looked at Oxford University today and they did a breakdown of the surnames of people who are studying here, and still 1,000 years later almost, the family names that dominate are French origin names. So it is still quite hierarchical, but they're trying to make it more democratic. 25% of the students here are foreign students, although you will pay twice the tuition fees, roughly. And almost half actually, of the teaching staff, 40% of the teaching staff are also from other countries. So it's really a cosmopolitan, mixed place with the best and the brightest from many different countries. Look ahead of us on the right-hand side. In a minute, you're going to see a tavern with a blue disc outside with an eagle on it. That is a very famous pub in Oxford. It's called The Eagle and Child, and this is where Tolkien, the writer of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, used to meet with C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. This tavern just here on our right, okay? They used to meet here every Tuesday, I think it was, with the Inklings, the writers group. If you go in that pub, and we're only getting off the coach just up ahead, if you want to go in the pub after the walking tour, you can do so. They'll show you the table where the Inklings used to sit and read each other chapters of their books, unpublished chapters. Can you imagine sitting at the table next to them? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we're going to get off here, guys, and where we're going to